Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Toledo, your host on Dent Time PDR, a podcast about PDR training, tutorials, interviews, and much more. So get something to eat, drink, and start pushing. It's time to listen. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Mike Toledo, and I have my partner in crime, Don Kavanaugh. What's crack-a-lackin', Don?
Not too much, just checking in.
Dude, check out the voice on Don, dude. Damn, dude. Damn, dude. What's that smooth Barry White voice you got going, dude?
We got a new setup here. It's pretty cool. I just kind of followed your advice. It sounds way better than what I used to use.
Well, it's just not the mic, man. It's the voice. All right, what's going on, guys? I'm going to jump in here real quick because I think I've got some dates mixed up. So before I embarrass myself, I'm going to get these dates straightened out. That's why it might sound a little funny. I'm just going to get in here and announce some events. And I'm also going to announce more events than I anticipated because I was just a little bit in the dark. I wasn't paying attention, but there is the 300 Alliance. That's 2019 International Hail Expo. That is actually going on tomorrow and Saturday at the Hollywood Casino in St. Louis, Maryland Heights, Missouri. Go check them out. I know it might be late notice, and I haven't promoted earlier, but it looks like there's going to be a lot of people there, vendors, tool companies, and they're going to have seminars and whatnot. So go check it out. It's going to looks pretty interesting. Also up next is Keco. Keco is having an event on April 4th, which is called the Glue Pole Repair Training. It's $500 a tech. It's in Oklahoma City, April 4th through the 5th. And following up on that is the 10th anniversary party of Keco Body Repair. So that's Friday at 3 p.m. And April 4th, which is 4th and 5th, is a glue pole repair training seminar or course for $500. So go check that out. You can go to Keco Paintless Dent Repair on the Facebook and just look that up, and they will definitely get you signed up if that's something you're interested in. And the last one, just want to make sure, and we'll get into the other ones with Dawn, is the Anson, April 19th, which is Friday, starts at 9 a.m. Their open house, as always, they have great hospitality. The people and the team at Anson, just as humble and happy-go-lucky people that you can meet. And it's great to know the people who are help supplying those PDR tools and hail products to your door. So come on out. It is in their event in Texas. It's in Arlington, Texas. For more information, go to ansonpdr.com or just go to their Facebook page, click on event at Anson PDR LLC. On Facebook, you'll find them. Just look it up like that. All right. So let's get back into the other events and podcast. Thanks for your patience, guys. And so now we've got another one coming up. You and I are gonna go to.
Yeah.
But that one's actually, let's talk about yours first, because yours is the one at your own place, right? We're gonna go in order.
Yep.
Right?
That's right. Okay.
Why don't you do
so
the
the biggest one coming up is the Stanliner seminar at our place at Dent Kraft, and that's the 25th and 26th of April. So that's right around the corner. And then 27th is, of course, Vince from Anson coming in to do the IMI EV training on that Saturday.
Wow. No kidding.
Jesus.
Let's talk about Canada. You are also going to be there as well with me, and it's kind of like it's the same people, not same people. It's me, Vince, you. We've got Jean.
Yeah, Jean.
I think a couple other fellas from the Canadian side that I don't know too much about, but it is on the website and pdrrepairsecrets.ca. Check that out, pdrrepairsecrets.ca. You get a lot more information there, and fill out the form to register, and Dominic will get you taken care of. And that is what's the dates on that one? That is May.
Is that the
17th through the
16th, 17th, 18th? Is that
16th, 17th, 18th. Yeah, that's correct.
Yep, 16th, 17th. Yep.
Yep. It's and that's mainly 2 days of training. What you're going to be doing some blending there, right?
Yep, we'll be doing some blending training and some glue pulling and some just some
Body
overall big smashes, right?
Well, let's
body line stuff. And
let's talk about you though. You have really good. You have a good sense of experience on body lines. I mean, I saw you you glass this body line. It was just nasty. And
Oh,
you've had it
thanks,
for a
man.
while. Don, you've got like a library of footage that you've done. And I think people just don't, you're kind of like, under the radar, super good, clean tech. And so I'm interested in personally seeing you do these repairs, and you don't even use a tap down really. You use a blending hammer most of the time, right?
No, I'm strictly a blending hammer. I very rarely, I bet I grab a knockdown once a month or something if it's by a door handle and I can't swing my hammer at it,
Cool. Well, we're
Gotta
gonna
get it
get
around.
into a little bit of his techniques too as well in this podcast. But I'm just trying to give you guys a real quick summary of what we're going to talk about. Then we're going to go back to the Stanliner event and talk about some points on that. And last but not least, I'll have an IMI at my own shop May 25th. Actually, J Ma, a couple Taiwanese guys are coming. I
Oh,
know a
sweet.
lot of LA guys are coming. Some San Diegans are coming. So even, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be local, guys. If you want to see San Diego for the weekend, bring your wife, have fun, come to my shop, hang out, do what you got to do. I invite you to come out. So May 25th. You can also find that link on Anson, PDR.com, where you can sign up to that link as well. Okay, so let's touch base. Actually, Thomas, I'm actually going to create some content for it, but I told him to highlight what is going to happen, because let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth. He sent me a list. We're going to go over it, Don. Okay.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome.
and then later on, as this podcast goes, we're going to open this up to blending. Okay. I think it's still a very, without going really quickly off topic about the events, but we're going to talk about blending. Okay. We'll get into that. Hang on tight, folks. We'll talk about that in a second. Then we're going to give Vinny a call, and we're going to talk about the IMI as well before we get into blending. How's that sound, Don?
That sounds great.
And Vinny doesn't even know we're calling him. So we're trying out a new system here, and we're excited, and I want to see how well it works. And we're going to get him on the phone. So, but first things first, let's go to the highlights of Thomas. Yeah. Let's see here. Thomas. Okay. So this is, he wants to basically call it a dive into the Stanliner tools. It's going to be very hard to train every individual on each tool, for a very long amount of time. So what he wants to call it is a dive in there, which you'll learn a lot more than you did at MTE, because you'll have more people working with you individually on these tools. And some of the bullet points about it is it's an exclusive seminar in the US. Basically, Kaz is not going to be there that much, saying, right? He's not going to make too many tours, or if not, maybe this will be his only tour.
It might be
Right?
his only one, so we don't know for sure, but it could be. It's the first, and he's trying it out, so he doesn't know it'll work or not work. And as far as traveling, we know it'll work as far as his talents and showing us what to do. And I just think it's an opportunity for us to get to the next level. I'm actually really excited, not just because it's at my shop, but to really see this guy closer up and get a little bit more one-on-one with him for a few days straight. It's going to be pretty amazing.
Okay. You know what? Actually, before we get into it, I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty deeper than just an announcement, because we're going to talk about what people are going to learn. And I'm sure a lot of people want to understand what they're going to get out of this course. So what is the dates and what's going on at Stanliner? Then we'll get to the Canada one. So go ahead.
Yep. So again, it's the 25th and 26th of April. And on the 27th, Vince will be coming in for the IMI training. So that will be a pretty amazing thing as well. So you can kind of kill, two birds with one stone per se. If you haven't been IMI trained, it'll be worth maybe your travel time, because now that it's in the States, it's down to $650. It's really nice that Vince has now been crowned the king of IMI training. And it's kind of fun for me, because I got trained right next to Vince back in the first time when we got all trained up. So
yeah. Okay, and now we are right. That's the dates for that. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes, and at the same time. So let's talk about Canada. You are also going to be there as well with me, and it's kind of like it's the same people, not same people. It's me, Vince, you. We've got
Jean.
John.
Yeah, Jean.
I think a couple other fellas from the Canadian side that I don't know too much about, but it is on the website, pdrrepairsecrets.ca. Check that out, pdrrepairsecrets.ca. You get a lot more information there, and fill out the form to register, and Dominic will get you taken care of. And that is what's the dates on that one? That is May.
Is that the
17th through the
16th, 17th, 18th? Is that sound right?
16th, 17th, 18th. Yeah, that's correct.
Yep, 16th, 17th. Yep.
Yep. It's and that's mainly 2 days of training. What you're going to be doing some blending there, right?
Yep, we'll be doing some blending training and some glue pulling and some just some
Body
overall big smashes, right?
Well, let's
body line stuff. And
let's talk about you though. You have really good. You have a good sense of experience on body lines. I mean, I saw you you glass this body line. It was just nasty. And you've had it for a while. Don, you've got like a library of footage that you've done. And I think people just you're kind of like, under the radar, super good, clean tech. And so I'm interested in personally seeing you do these repairs, and you don't even use a tap down really. You use a blending hammer most of the time, right?
No, I'm strictly a blending hammer. I very rarely, I bet I grab a knockdown once a month or something. If it's by a door handle and I can't swing my hammer at it,
Cool. Well, we're gonna get into a little bit of his techniques too as well in this podcast, but I'm just trying to give you guys a real quick summary of what we're going to talk about. Then we're going to go back to the Stanliner event and talk about some points on that. And last but not least, I'll have an IMI at my own shop May 25th. Actually, J-Ma, a couple Taiwanese guys are coming. I know sweet. A lot of LA guys are coming. Some San Diegans are coming. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be local, guys. If you want to see San Diego for the weekend, bring your wife, have fun, come to my shop, hang out, do what you got to do. I invite you to come out. So May 25th. You can also find that link on Anson, PDR.com, where you can sign up to that link as well. Okay, so let's get back to Stanliner. Stanliner. Okay, I'm going to go through the bullet points again once again, and then we'll touch base back on them. Does that sound okay, Don?
Sounds great.
Okay, so covers all divisions of PDR industry: complex damages, door dings, hail damage, glue pulling, and state-of-the-art real-time demonstration. Set up classic and advanced PDR techniques behind every Stanliner tool, demos and hands-on questions and answers. So, and no matter how good you are, if you're a beginner or a veteran, this is for you. If you're a hail tech, a route tech, or a wholesale tech, this is for you. There's no discrimination on the tools and how they're being used. I've used them tons of times, and I keep using them. Matter of fact, Don, today, I hate to hog. I feel like I'm hogging this up, but today.
No, you're good, man. No worries.
Today, I let my techs kind of work on a front fender. I wouldn't say they chewed it up. They did not chew it up. They just had a hard time pinpointing the last bit, right? I give each one of them a crane. They're like, man, why didn't you give this to me in the beginning? I said, no, you have to learn to suffer a little bit to get the mechanics down, right? And this is what makes the tool so much easier when you understand the fundamentals of the basic PDR. Now it's kind of like, this is why you can learn. This tool makes such good sense. You know what I mean? So it really helps.
What's amazing is, didn't these guys just start a few days ago? And they're already realizing what a great tool the crane is to themselves.
Let me tell you guys something. I hit like an air cannon now. Now I'm doing these dents like both guys get a perfect dent, but I whacked the crap out of it today, man. I put it up to 22 PSIs. Now, I would say probably the only thing it's missing is I can have Steve make a little bit sharper, just a tiny bit sharper of a dome, and then you're going to have a Dent Olympic dent, no problem. Because the Dent Olympic is about a quarter size dent, maybe a little bigger, but with a pit in it, right? Mm-hmm. These are silver dollar stretch dents, and they had a hell of a time, but they're doing way better. And it was their second day as we speak now, but it'll be in the middle of their training by the time you guys hear this. But so anyways, Don, back to the tools. What do you think is What do you think is the best benefit of using these Stanliner tools?
I think it's for me, it's the clean, the clean. You're bringing up a mass and you're bringing up a lot of area, and you're not making any pokes or stitching. And for that reason, what's happening is I'm doing these dents quicker than I ever have before because there's such a mass going around it. I feel like a sharp tool, when you're poking, just that area comes up and maybe a quarter inch around it, depending on the thickness of the metal. Thicker the metal, the more range you're going to get with lifting the metal. What I'm really talking about here is it seems like I'm lifting an inch or two of metal and pushing, and I don't have to, go after a deep dent for as long as I used to. I used to always say kind of it's like bringing up a layer of an onion, right? With a sharper tool, and you're working it, working it, working it, working it. If it's a really deep dent. With the Stanliner tool, especially these raised snakes with the rounded back, I'm just absolutely in love with this tool. I can bring up such a mass. I can bring up an area which might take me 2 hours in the past, and I can do it in about a half hour to an hour. So it's amazing.
Yep, that's exactly what my students are witnessing right now, shall I say. Uh, they they're like they have a big grin from one side to the other because it makes you kind of like gives you that extra kick in you, that step in you, like, man, I got this.
Yeah.
This is fascinating because it pushes. Listen, gentlemen and ladies, I'm not telling you Stanliner is going to be the end all to end all. Of course, I know Thomas would like me to tell you that, okay? But honestly, it's just a really good asset, another tool in your arsenal to make you that much better and that much cleaner.
It's a must-have. It really is. It definitely is the very, 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 very cool tools. I'm excited to get into it and dove into a little more. I think I use it 50% of what they're worth. Really, we've talked about this a few times, Mike, privately. I'm excited to see what the other 50% of that same tool does because I don't do the dragging techniques. I don't do all these other things that we're going to be taught. I think we're going to come away being twice the tech that we would be if we hadn't,
Well,
gone to the seminar.
that's a good point. Okay. We've all been told that some of these tools drag, right? Some of them are blending, you blend with the panel inside. I'm like you, Don. I haven't had a whole lot of practice doing the dragging technique. And it would be exciting to be open and listen and watch somebody else who's a little bit more experienced on that. I use the crane tool. I use the killer whale tail tool. Use the killer whale tail on body lines, and it's really good. Now, it's not, depends on the tip now, because me personally, I would love to see Stanliner come out with various different types of tips, whale tail tips, because I'm beginning to realize they can help you, but they can also damage the panel if you're not careful, if you're not like the edge of the whale tail, like how much you rock it. If you're not paying attention, just like a sharp tool, right? If you're not paying attention where your tip's at, you could crack paint really, really quick. So,
Absolutely.
So there are some limits. I'm getting very familiar with that. I like it a lot, and I've found different variations of tools. Is there any tool that you got surprised on? Like maybe you thought you were going to use it one way, but you found another way?
The crane, honestly, those cranes underneath the rear door, particularly rear doors. If I can grab that tool and go down in front of the door handle, if this makes sense, and it cuts back so well, I've got both the cranes, but they'll cut back in, you guys. You can do a dent up against the back edge of the door, around the door handle, and no other tool could do that. You would be going at it a completely different direction because you wouldn't be able to get around the door handle. I think that's just amazing.
I think so too. I like I said, there's another one too. Is what you were using? You said a crane tool. I was using the mini pirate hook, and you know what I use that tool a lot for?
Fender?
Nope. You know that above the door handle, and you have an open hole, right? The plug, and you have a dent there, deep one. Oh man, I used the back of the tool, and then I used the front of the tool, and I can rock it, and I can finish the dent out. It is unbelievably a very good tool for that access, that point of access right there.
Very cool. I haven't even thought about putting it through there. So thank you very much for that tip. I'm gonna have to try that.
And then I used it on an aluminum panel on the hood. I've put it in front of like an opening of a hole, and I walked the crease out. And to push a crease out on aluminum hood, fairly deep one, it can be very challenging because it feels like you leave stitch marks no matter what, but the pirate hook rocks on it and really, really helps bring that metal up.
I've had really good luck through the top edge of the fender, with the little one, because you can kind of just squeal it right in there without pulling the headlight.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of really good creases up in there that I've been able to use it through there instead of coming through the fender liner to go with the hood open. And it's like, man, if I can get that tool on there, it's rock star. It's over,
So, all right. Well, that's anything else you want to talk about? Let's talk about the venue. Okay. It's going to be at your location, Don, right?
Yep.
Your
the first thing what we've ever done like this before. So we've had a lot of seminars for, different types of things like car shows and all these different things. So this is the first real seminar other than having, insurance people over. So I'm real excited to have everybody over and think it's going to be a lot of fun and
hosting.
Really looking forward to it.
Yeah. And what's there to do? Let's say some people are bringing their wives. Is there anything to do there for them?
Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to hand over the gold card or the platinum card or whatever you have, because right by the airport there where you're flying in, we have people flying in and spending the week there. It's crazy. It's Mall of America, and it happens to be right at the international airport. And so we don't have any clothing tax in Minnesota. So it's kind of been a really wonderful thing for people to come in and, from all over the place. But I hope Mary doesn't find out about that place, Mike.
Believe me, she's already ready. That's why she's coming. She ain't coming for the seminar. She ain't coming to see you guys. She wants to go see the Mall of America. I do too, actually. I heard it's huge. So I've always wanted to go check it out. I see it on movies all the time, but I want to see it. So how far is it from your shop?
It's cool. It's about 20 minutes, 25 minutes from the shop.
Man, that's awesome.
So it's close.
What do you have a host hotel yet, or do you have an idea, or will that be announced later on?
I think it's going to be, it will be announced in a day or two, but the best deal we've got so far is the Country Inn, which is, it's a really sweet place. They've got a great bar restaurant attached, which is really great. Great food, good bar. I think it could really work out for every aspect of what we've got, but I'm really trying to beat them up on price right now. So
IMI is completely separate. Some guys will just come there, hopefully not just for one or the other, but some guys are already before you came with this event, you already had the IMI planned. Is that correct, or somewhat kind of planned?
I've been wanting to get the IMI up here for some time. We've been talking this for quite a while with Vince, so I just want to protect the local guys as well as whoever might want to come in and get protected, because I think it's very important.
Good. All right. The IMI is brought to you by TDN Group and the Anson PDR.com team over there in Texas. TDN Group is located in the UK. Kevin Andrews is pretty much the founder of getting this whole thing started. These guys take it very seriously. Even though my buddy Vince, he's a joker, but he takes it very seriously, and we hope you do too as well. Pretty soon, I think this is going to be a must-have certification, because the cars are going more electric more and more every day. So think about that. Think about bettering yourself. Sign up today at one of your places, or one of the places that we mentioned, and and promote that thing.
You bet.
Should we call?
Matter of fact,
we should call Vince, man. So
yeah, let's try that.
Call that.
He was saying something ridiculous about doubling the amount of cars on the road within like a year or two. I'd like to hear those hard numbers from Vince.
Yeah, well, let's get him on.
Yeah.
What up, Mikey?
Yo, Vinny.
What's up, Vinny?
Vinny, you're live on our podcast here, eh?
How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. Is that Don? The Donald?
Yeah, bud.
That's
Hi,
Don.
buddy.
Hey, we got Vince D'Alessandro from the IMI and Anson. All right. So, anyways, I'm playing with my new stuff, dude. So, anyways,
Gotcha. I thought you wanted me to introduce myself.
no, I'm just testing out things, and to our audience, if it sounds a little wacky, that's why. So I'm just testing out some new things. So, anyways,
I just finished our PDR Tool Time podcast. Just finished that.
Nice. What was the topic?
The topic, we get to know your podcaster. So this week was me.
Get to know you. Were you solo?
I was not solo. Daniel Graham, he's out in Disneyland land on a boat somewhere in the middle of the Caribbean. And we had Hudson and John Renstrom on. And the topic was get to know your podcaster. So we're going to do a little segment. This week was on me. Next week will be on John or Daniel. And onwards. Get to know
Nice.
Well, cool.
backstories
I
behind
thought
it.
you were going to get to know your podcaster outside of you guys' thing. I was going to say thank you very much, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well,
Get to
So,
know
yeah,
your
I guess,
past podcaster, Mike Toledo, over there. So.
oh, we'll have you on anytime. You know that, Mikey.
No. You know, the reason why we gave you a call, okay, we just got off the phone, not the phone, we just got done talking and discussing all the events that are going on. Obviously, Anson's open house, we mentioned that first. We mentioned Stanliners, we mentioned the PDR Canada event and Dent Time, the one over in, you know where, San Diego area.
San Diego.
So tell us more about it. Why is this thing? We kind of touched base on it. Can you give us any more importance? You lowered the price. What made you end up doing that?
Well, we lowered the price to $650 because prior to me coming on as a certified instructor, which required me to go out to England and get certified by IMI, our good friend Kevin Andrews, he was the one that was traveling across from England to teach this class. So there was an added expense of travel to get Kevin across the pond between hotels, airfare, and things like that. So rental cars. So I went to them directly after I came back, and I said, listen, we need to do something for the technicians that really want to come and learn the IMI and get the certification for the EV, but we need to make it a little bit more affordable and make it, a little bit, make more sense to it with the cost involved. So we settled on $650, and it's going to be a long time before this is a profitable thing for Anson and for TDM because they've been doing it for 2 years, and basically we're just trying to get it out there, and it's not really a money making thing; it's more of an industry thing.
Yeah.
Here's two paintless dent removal companies that are bringing a certification process to our industry.
And that makes sense. I mean, it really makes sense. You look at the track record of Anson, you look at the track record of TDN or Kevin Andrews. That guy, if you watch and pay attention to Kevin Andrews, he's always working. He's always working.
Always.
Yeah.
He is. No,
he's sacrificing his time, sacrificing the just everything he has to help make this industry better, and it's carrying over. And then now you're taking the responsibility, Vince, of the United States, certifying everybody. How do you do it,
Not
dude?
just United States, but Canada as well.
Oh, yeah,
North
that's
America.
right. I forgot.
right.
I forgot. Okay, North America. Yeah.
Right.
So what do you think the biggest challenge is about IMI, in your opinion?
The biggest challenge with the certification is I think a lot of people or a lot of technicians are coming in, they haven't been in a classroom in years.
Yeah.
I myself, I haven't been in a classroom in 25 years. And I think they're a little bit nervous and overwhelmed when they show up for it, but there's really nothing to be nervous or overwhelmed about it. We're going over the basic knowledge of a hybrid or an electric vehicle. So you have that knowledge of how they actually work and some of the inner structures of it. And that way, when you go to work on these vehicles, you could determine, do I need to power this down because I'm going to be working in a dangerous area? Or am I just doing a door ding and it's business as usual? So we want to have the technician be comfortable and have the confidence working on these vehicles, knowing that they're not going to damage the vehicle or injure themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you guys give all the shall I say, you basically have a guideline of where they can get the equipment, and you guys are actually selling the equipment, I think, or you are a third party. I'm not sure how that works. Explain that, because you have to rope off things. You have to have a box. I mean, you should have these things, and you have to have like a electric blanket that covers the potential power where you could get shocked. Explain some things like that.
Yeah, well, all the cars currently right now that are electric or hybrid, they're no greater than, I believe, 750 volts DC. So every safety equipment, which is called personal protection equipment, PPE, you'll hear that referred to quite a bit in our course, is all rated to 1,000 volts. That way you are covered. If you're standing on the mat and you're wearing your 1,000 volt gloves and you're standing on a 1,000 volt mat, you're not going to get electrocuted. It's things like that that are going to protect the technician from being injured or death.
Yeah.
So TDN has put together a kit and will be sold through Anson for now. And that's just hitting the market right now, because what we found is, after I got certified a year ago, I went back and I looked at the price of these gloves. I'm like, holy crap, $120 for a pair of gloves that are only going to last a year. And then I'm looking at, the mat and this and that. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm going to be like over $1,000 invested in all this. And TDN, what they did is they went through the research and bought all the stuff at a lower price, just buying quantities of it. And that way they could, transfer that savings onto the technicians that are buying it.
That's awesome. And then also there's a guideline on an app that and I'm not going to tell what it is because that's you guys' thing, but I found that super useful. Like you mentioned earlier, like how do you know if this panel is safe? Well, with that app, that special app that you guys showed us during our training helps tremendous. And you can it justifies to the customer, hey, there are some cables right here. I've got to power it down for your sake and mine to make sure that we do the safest and most high quality job possible. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And you know what, to be honest with you, it's no secret. The app is called Pro Assist. And I'd rather someone be safe than sorry.
Okay, I didn't know if that was I didn't know if that was strictly your guys' thing, so that's why I didn't say anything. Okay,
that's amazing.
It's actually a company out of
that. Very nice.
Yeah, not at all, but it's a company out of Europe that puts it together. So here in the States, some of the cars might be called something different, but the majority of the cars around the Priuses, everything that we're in contact with, is on that app.
That's awesome. That's a huge tip right there too. Did you mention that too as well on PDR Tool Time at all?
No, but someone actually posted something on PDR Tool Time today with the app. So,
okay, cool.
We want people to be safe.
Here's
Vince, the other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Vince, you were saying to me the other day on the phone, we were chatting that what's the number of electric cars on the road today versus like 2 or 3 years from now? What was that number? It was crazy that how much it's going to elevate.
Well, I don't have it directly in front of me because you guys cut me off guard.
No problem.
But there's a chart. It's exponential. They thought it was going to be a lot lower than what it is now. There's a ton of cars out there. The Model 3 is the 4th best-selling car in the United States, if that gives you a little flavor.
Well, and also GM decided to go most of their, like at least in the future by 2020, 2021, I think they want more than half their cars to be electric already.
Yeah, there's only 2 currently, and there's supposed to be 25 either hybrid or electric in the next 5 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, that goes to show you. So, well, that's it, Vince. I wanted to bring you on really quick and then kind of give some people some more insight, some really good benefit, some bullet points about what you mentioned, and I think that helped a lot. So I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, call in anytime. The only other thing that I would warn everyone is stay away from orange cables. Don't be pushing off the orange cables. Don't be touching them. And don't be dropping tools on them. Our sharp tool.
What about brown or orange? I mean, brown or red, because I get those mixed up. So, you know me, I'm colorblind.
Well,
I gotta get colorblind glasses.
Stay away from all of them.
Just don't touch any cables, Mike.
Yeah. Vince knows me, dude. So,
what's this? Yeah.
Well, listen, Vince, I want to let you go, man, and I really do appreciate you coming on for 10 minutes and giving us some insights. And we'll bring you back on as it closer gets. So, okay.
Anytime, Donald. Thanks for taking
brother.
the moment, and always good talking to you, Mikey.
You too. Hey, real quick, before I let you go, I want to plug your show and visit Vince and the crew, Daniel Grom, John Renstorm. Now you've got
That's in Tansy.
Yep, Tansy over there. So go check them out, pdrtooltime.com. Check them out on iTunes, and we'll see you guys over there. All right, Vince?
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you, buddy.
All right, that was Vince. Hey, that went pretty smooth. What do you think, Don?
I think it's amazing that he was on his phone coming through here. It sounded like he was in a broadcasting corner.
Radio show. Yeah. We're telling you, I'm stepping it up, man. We're getting more professional as we go. Man.
Yes, you are.
I got some other things I want to put in here later on and on the next show, but I'm not prepared yet and I'm not ready. But okay, Don, let's get to the other part we wanted to talk about. Let's talk about blending. Okay. It's kind of like a mystery for people who want to blend. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how many people want to learn the lines, but I know they wish they could learn how to read it, but they don't. And it's very hard to kind of pick up if you've already been in yours, if you're used to a certain way of you looking at a reflection, or let's turn it from reflection. Maybe you're a certain way of tapping down with a tap down and a hammer. Let me first explain. I think I've heard the story before. How did you learn how to blend? I mean, what made you like not pick up a tap down? You've been doing this for a long time. I'm guessing that you were taught from the beginning.
I was. So I learned from this old German guy that learned in the BMW factory in Munich in the 60s and 70s. His name was Jürgen Holzer, and he brought it over to America at the same time that Lido did. And it's kind of an interesting story. They got some really coincided stories, but basically we had like 10 tools when I went to training, and these were all super rude tools, including the hammer. And that's how we knocked it down, was the hammer. And I didn't know it was called a blending hammer. I just knew it was a ball peen looking thing that was a little skinnier than a ball peen, and it was just straight and rounded at the edge. And I just knew that. So, boy, did I wreck some stuff, I mean, I couldn't knock down what I was trying to hit to save my, tushy. So, it was just basically, doing what we do today, bringing it up, bringing it down. But I think it actually, when I train now, I actually throw a knockdown on someone's hand and they can actually make something move the first day. I think I was struggling for 6 months trying to really, hit what I was aiming at.
Okay. I'm going to ask you questions because I'm going to act like I'm a student, and I'm going to ask you questions. Try to describe it best you can. Am I holding the hammer? Am I in any part of my contact of my arm making contact on the panel, or am I off swing? Am I letting how's that working? How do you position the technician's arm?
So for me, I like to choke up and I get the hammer, kind of like the new balls that are out right now, that fit in the crook of your hand. I like to really have the fat portion of my hand, the very back of the hand, and my wrist on the panel typically. And that's kind of how I really do my blending. I do a lot of offhand stuff, but if I do that, if I'm on a rail or something like this, I'm actually using my other arm, if this makes sense, and I'm basically making it arch and actually using my hand to adjust that. And it's kind of hard to explain, but just so I cannot be free floating. I do that once in a while, but I can't do pin. I can do okay if I'm blending a big buckle, just freehanding it and not being rested on the panel. You can get pretty damn good at it, but to really finish something, I need to be anchored.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because that's the way I feel the same way too, is what I'm picking this up more and more. I tell my new students right now, I try to encourage them, even though I'm not the best at blending. I tell them up front to try to blend, because it's going to be way more easier while you're learning than to already be set with a tap down and hammer. And the same thing goes, you got to be MMD, mixed martial dents, right? You got to be a black belt in every aspect of PDR. And what's the advantage, Don, of being able to blend? I think you guys, the blenders, strictly blend, another blender who I know, Achilles. I don't know if you ever met him, the guy from Argentina. He was at MTE, but he comes like every summer once in a while, does some jobs for me, and we've been good friends. And that guy whips out a blending hammer, and he can blend the hell out of things.
Nice.
So nice. I want to, I think it's necessary for somebody to understand that. And
so for me, aren't we all Dent guys kind of the same? We want to be able to get as far away from our repair as possible as we're making our pokes and our pushes. When we seem to walk away and we're looking at the light and we're 4 feet back, we look at that and we go, there's a little wiggle there, you get up and you get in position, you're ready to push, and you're like, where did it go? Damn it, So for me, when I'm blending using a hammer, how I do it, I'm reaching out so much further and putting my chest up against the panel, and I'm getting about 1.5 to 2 feet more of a reach to the area versus you can imagine me now incorporating, instead of having my left hand behind me and my chest up against the car and I'm using my right hand, now I have to incorporate my left hand and I have to hold on to the, so I'm coming another 1.5 feet, and now I'm also creating a big arch so I can see my hammer hit the tip of the knockdown. And the problem there for me is I'm blocking all the light too. So I'm really restricting what I can see. And I really like seeing, 6-8 inches around for the good metal. So I know what I'm going for on the, and I'm always looking around. I'm barely looking really right at what I'm pounding. I'm looking around the area and making everything look the same around those areas versus the other way around. So I hope I'm making some kind of a sense.
You are. It got my head turning, and it makes perfect sense, because I think that's the big advantage of you blenders, because you can see, I would say, perspective wise, a lot more than a guy can up close.
There's nothing blocked other than the head of the hammer.
We always, it's 9 out of 10 times when we see something, it's always from further back. Right? We walk up to the car and we're like, damn, there's still a wiggle there. And it's always a crown. It's a hidden crown that we don't see, that we can easily blend out, because we know that we could spend a half hour, 45 minutes, hour and a half trying to think what we think is low, but it's really the crowns that are holding that low. But if we could see it and blend it out, we would have been done a lot earlier.
Absolutely. I agree.
Now, let me explain. Okay, now another thing. I want to know, what hammers are you using? Are you using, I know I've seen this one crazy hammer. I need you to send me a link. Matter of fact, you need to send me a picture of it tomorrow, because this podcast comes out Thursday. I want to put a picture of what you have. This kind of triangle, like dowel looking, kind of looks like somebody would, a cartoon hammer. You know what I mean? It kind of looks like that.
For the big buckles, it works pretty well. And I'm actually in the process of redesigning that whole thing, because this is a store-bought one, and it does the trick for big blending buckles. And I'm happy to send it. We can put it out there. There's a place called the Hammer Source you can go on. I think they're like $50 or maybe even 30, high 30s. But it's just basically an oval. It's fatter on one end and kind of cone shaped, but it works really, really well. The only problem that's wrong with that damn thing is it's only got like a 10-inch handle. And that's what you see me blending in a few different videos with it, but I like my a little bit longer hammer, to get back, but it really moves a lot of metal for sure.
Okay. So you got that one for a lot of metal. What's your go-to everyday blending hammer and tips?
I have been using a lot of the Brock Hill one from Carbon Tech. I really like the
mini or the original.
Pardon?
The mini or the original?
So the mini is for me, I'm sure it works for a lot of guys, and it probably would work great for, something really taut, maybe a rail or something. But I did buy that one, and I'm not using it as much. I've used it a few times. It doesn't feel like it has enough weight for me. So the other one that's a little kind of a big daddy almost has too much weight for me. So it's kind of a weird thing, but I do like the heavier one for aluminum. I've had quite a few aluminum buckles where it's really stiff and you need a little bit more. So I like both of those really well. I've got an old school one that I've had for 30 years, and that's what I really have to bring to market, because it's what I kind of go to almost every single time to finish everything.
So you already have that the one you said you need to bring to market. That's the one you use. You're saying that
it's the one I finish everything with. Yes.
Okay, so you got a secret weapon.
It's a smaller Dent. that's just my tool, right? It's like your hammer's your favorite thing because you
Alright.
use it on whatever tool you have in your hand. You're going to finish
Damn, I
with your
thought I was
hammers.
gonna get ready to go buy something right now. So I am gonna go
You
to that
will
hammer
be
place
soon. I got to do it. I've had so many people ask. So
All right. Well, okay, let's say that's never going to be available. What do you recommend for these guys to start out with? What hammer do you that you can endorse a little bit on your advice? What do you think that someone should
one of
start
my
out with?
favorite go-to hammers is, and a lot of my techs pick it up, and they'll have 5 or 6 to pick from when they're learning. They always gravitate to that Boss 16-inch. Is an amazing Boss PDR 16-inch hammer. Is a great all-around hammer. I really, really like it a lot. You can do interchangeable tips on both sides. It's a really nice length. It's got the ball on the end of it, which is really great. And trying to think, Brian
I just
at
saw that.
PDR, what's it called? PDR Outlet sells it.
I think I just saw that. Is that Ultra, right? Did you see a video of me and I showed it? And I think you commented.
I don't know.
They make them at different lengths, right? Do they make them?
They're different. There's different lengths. Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen a hammer that comes in that many different lengths. I think it was like 5 or 6 different ones. And it did feel good.
I didn't know they have that many, but very cool. I just happened to see it at MTE about 3 years ago, and I grabbed it, and I was like, "Well, that's pretty sweet."
We're talking about the same one, but it's carbon fiber and it got a ball at the end, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
all right. I think it is. Yeah. Cool.
I'll send you a pic tomorrow.
What about, before I let you go, before we kind of get close to this, what about the tips? Like what tips? You know what the tips I've had in my drawer for about 6 months, and then I saw it again at MTE, and everyone was talking about it, and they loved it. And I go, wait a minute, I think I got that in my drawer. but I will talk about that tip in a second, and it's one of my favorite blending tips now. So what other screw-on tips would you recommend for these blending hammers that you're talking about? So
the one that I really like a lot, especially on the backside of the heavier one from Carbon Tech, is the one that Todd just came out with. It's like a ball.
Yeah, like a ball
and
peen.
I just started using it. It's like a ball peen. Yeah. Have you seen this tip?
I love it.
It actually comes.
Isn't
it great?
I like, that's my favorite little hammer, blending hammer. I love it a lot, dude. Yep.
I love that little tip. He says now even the bigger one comes with it. It used to just not come with anything on the backside, but he said he kind of added it, and he sent me a couple the other day, and they're sweet. So I just think they're awesome.
Have you had a chance to use Hayes Freeman's the hatchet one?
So I just got that about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't used it a ton, but I did put David Streen's his newest tip, the real. I know it's for a knockdown, but I'm trying it as a hammer because I'm not a knockdown guy, and it's actually working very well. The real domed one, but super
the polished
thin.
knob.
The polished knob, I think that's what it's called. Yeah. That thing is pretty freaking awesome too.
Now, does it lay down metal differently? Is it vibrating? Does it dribble? What's the effect of how you're using it?
So I'm just using it as a blending hammer. I'm just using it as one side of the tip. And instead of putting it on a knockdown and using it for blending, I'm just using it as a kind of a blender tool. So I like it on the backside again on the Brock Hill, just because I've got the big weight behind it. And it delivers it very differently than the larger side of the Brock Hill, if that makes any sense, because you're trying to hit so much metal with the other side, but then there's so much weight behind it, and you just put that little tip on there, and it's just, it transfers it differently. It's like, wow, this is a pretty cool deal.
I know I'm going all over the place, but I don't think you finished your thoughts on the ratchet. So what's your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry. Yeah. I probably used it for one dent. So you
haven't had enough experience to use it to give your final opinion. Okay. No. All right. That's one hammer I regret not getting, but a lot of people tell me they like it. But what I found, Don, is that you old school guys that's been blending forever, it's great that you're open-minded, Don, but I can tell that you levitate to the one that you've started with, or you've actually formed, or you've been using for years. It's very hard. It's kind of like Harry Potter, right? It's like a wand, right? You're like, that's your wand, right? I mean, that is, if you pick up another wand, it's different. It doesn't doesn't do the same tricks for you as the one you're used to, right? Is that kind of
no? I think you're right, but I think that the one that I'm used to is the one that I can get down to the little imperfections and just make them perfect versus a little bit larger headed hammer. I just can't be so super accurate with, still doing the great job and moving that metal, but it's just that finishing, I'm really trying to add a little more texture and a little more orange peel to an area that maybe I've already wet sanded or something, where I'm really trying to, blend it out.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm definitely we're going to make some time, and we'll give me some insight on that when I see you in Minnesota. So,
well, I'm going to see you in San Diego in about 2 weeks. So
that's right. Why don't you come over? We'll do a little video thing on it. So.
Sounds like fun.
All right. So, is there anything else I forgot to mention here? So I think that's about it, Don.
We did the Stanliner and we did Vince, which is really good, and understanding that. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask?
Yeah.
I've had about 3 people ask this, and I should have asked Vince, darn it. Everybody says, the level 2 IMI. Do I have to have level 1 before I can do level 2? In my understanding, and I hope you maybe know, and maybe Vince will be the one to answer this, is I'm thinking IMI 1 would be like the technician that's actually working on the whole system and taking it apart and maybe, doing more than what we are doing on the exterior of the body. And they're doving more into the engine area and things like that.
That's going to be a question to be answered by Vince, and I'm going to tell him to listen to this podcast, at least listen to the end of it. And
good.
He will. I'm sure he'll get some comments on that, or maybe he'll address it on his podcast, and we'll get him to address it later on in the next one. So that's a good question.
Nice. I have no idea what the answer is, but I'm never going to answer something I don't have a clue what I'm talking about. So.
Well, everybody, I just want to say, hey, this podcast was created for people who want to, no matter what area, grow in the industry. Okay. And you have some opportunities to attend some events, whether you're in Canada or the United States. And I'm sure they're going to have some events across the pond. Do it. Better yourself. Do something that's going to help you in the long run and grow with the industry. So I hope to see you guys at one of these events. I'm Mike Toledo. This is Don Cavanaugh. And we'll see you guys, or I'll have Don on, as usual here and there. And we'll catch you on the next podcast. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.